You're saying Poirier, Alvarez, so that kind of answers that question. So is there any possibility of Conor, or is it going to be somebody else, maybe Ferguson if he heals up fighting Khabib finally, or you don't want to make that fight again?
Well, let me put it to you this way. Ferguson isn't going to be back till probably October if everything goes perfect for him,
okay,
right? After his surgery. Then you got Alvarez versus Poirier. Kevin Lee's in the mix. But, you know, we'll see how this thing plays out legally for Conor. Conor has to show up in New York and, handle his legal mess.
Yeah, he definitely does. And you were by the way, you went to see Ronda fight. How is that to see her kind of making a comeback and doing quite well?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, Ronda Rousey is I say it all the time, and I'll say it again, she's one of the greatest athletes I've ever worked with. And she's done a lot for this company and for me personally. And to see her continue to succeed and the way the fans reacted to her at the WWE, I couldn't be happier for her.
And what about Nate? We got to ask you about Nate Diaz too. There was rumors that he was offered something and then he wasn't. I mean, what's going on with Nate Diaz?
And that goes for Nick too.
Yeah.
I want to see either Diaz.
No, we've been offering Nate Diaz fights for however long. You know, in his contract and Nick Diaz, I have to give them 3 fights a year. It is per the contract. I need to give them 3 fights a year. If I fail to give them 3 fights a year, then I have to pay them. I have honored my contract with those guys. They keep turning down the fights, which extends their contracts. But we are working right now to try to put together a George St. Pierre versus Nate Diaz fight.
Oh, wow. Do you know, I had heard that, and I forgot to ask. I'm really glad you said that. So GSP Diaz is what you guys are working on.
It is true, and they would fight at 155 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Dropping 30 pounds?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
That fight would be at 155. There are rumors. I was just seeing, where did I see this rumor? That we were doing Gustafsson versus Rockhold. That is true, Ooh. But that is not for the interim title. That's false.
It's just to have them. I guess Rockhold is going up to light heavyweight, and they're just going to fight.
Yeah,
that's a great fight.
Do you know where's that fight going to be held and when? Do you have a date yet?
I don't.
Okay. Well, listen, we only have.
It might be L.A. I'm targeting L.A. In my perfect world, if everything goes perfect, which nothing goes fucking perfect in this world, Dillashaw versus Garbrandt.
Yep.
GSP versus Diaz would be the co-main. Gustafsson versus Rockhold, and God, what was the other one? Derek Brunson versus Antonio Carlos Jr.
Jesus.
The possibilities of GSP fighting at 155 pounds is endless. I mean, Khabib down the road, Conor when eventually he gets over that shit. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I wonder how he'll look at 155, how he could fight at that. He just fought at 180. I mean, he just fought at middleweight.
It's very interesting.
I'll tell you, Dana, before we let you go, too, that's, to me, look, GSP, maybe 170 is an easier one to get to, but 155, that's a division with a lot of money fights, so he's really smart to go down. Him against Diaz is a big fight. Him against Conor's a big fight. Him against Khabib is a big fight. He's very smart to go to that weight. That's one where you can get 3 or 4 fights, and they're all giant money fights.
I agree with you 100%, my friend.
You know, it's one of those things where, look, wrestling is far different than MMA, but when you watch it, there is an art to that, and it's not easy to do because people have shitty matches. The fans let them know, and she had a tremendous match. So I thought it was nice that you went there and supported her.
It's true. And if you look at and see how little Ronda is, she picked Triple H up on her shoulders, man. That's pretty damn impressive.
It's nice, and it looks like she's having fun, which is nice. You know, she looks happy doing it.
Absolutely. You know what's funny? She was telling me that it's such a different feeling. Like, she's not even nervous. She's not anything. She said it's such a different feeling than fighting.
Yeah, going in there, kind of wrestling entertainment. Yes, you know the pressure. You have to perform well. You got to make the fans happy. But it is a different risk than you're taking when you're in there with Amanda Nunes or Holly Holm or somebody else that's going to take your head off.
You don't know the outcome.
Absolutely.
Now, also, we wanted to ask you, too. Now, Mario Yamasaki is planning on attending. Big John McCarthy does a refereeing seminar. And again, we don't want to upset you, but he is, Yamasaki is saying he does plan on attending this. And he admits, though, that he let Cachoeira fight too long against Shevchenko. And he's saying, look, if you count 19 years I've been reffing, how many were controversial? 4 or 5? People always see the mistakes. There's nothing I can do. I got to focus, blah, 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 blah. So he's basically saying, hey, I screwed up.
Hey, that answer is much better than I allowed her to be a warrior.
Yep.
That was his first response.
Yeah.
Okay? That guy actually said that. If that would have been the response he had after that fight, instead of I let her be a warrior, yeah, he'd probably be in a better place right now. I think he should take all the reffing seminars that are, available.
Now let me ask you: if he goes to this, and he is giving the right answer. That you're right. That was the wrong answer because your job is to protect the fighter from getting themselves killed or injured. Now, would you ever see a chance for him to come back and ref in the UFC if he goes, hey, look, I fucked up?
And if he promises not to do the hard
thing, which obviously you've made public, you didn't care for.
And one of the things too, you have to protect the fighters from themselves. Yeah. A lot of the time.
Right.
True.
Yes, these people are tough and they have a lot of pride and they're fighting, on worldwide television. Millions of people are watching them fight. Yes, you have to protect them from themselves. You have to step in and say, you might not feel like it's enough, but I feel like it's enough. You've had enough.
Yeah, that's kind of what your job is, to prevent them from allowing themselves to get hurt out of pride and get a fucking career-ending. What did you? By the way, we wanted to ask you too. And now Matt is here, of course, and this is very close to him. But speaking of refereeing, and John McCarthy weighed in, and also who's the Mark Goddard?
Yeah, Mark
weighed in on the Marab decision, where it did not appear to any of us that he was out at all, and the refs all seemed to side with the ref. Now, is that a case of refs will side with refs, or how did you see that?
You know the fight.
Absolutely, you'll see that a lot. The athletic commission, the commission, and all the refs will all stick together. They have to stick together. What are they going to do? They're all they got. You know what I mean? When you have millions of fans, the promoters, all the fighters saying they were wrong, who else do they have but each other?
Okay, so when you saw that, you're like, yeah, of course, they're just sticking together because the bigger picture for them is, it's like an umpire trying to overrule an umpire in baseball. They try not to do it.
Exactly. And listen, these mistakes do happen.
Sure.
They do happen. There's nothing wrong with making mistakes, but everybody pretty much agrees. Everybody who's an expert that I know agreed that was the wrong call, but it happens.
Oh. Now, also, we're talking to, I know Cyborg, you guys created the featherweight division for her, and it's hard to find opponents for her. And of course, now season 28 of The Ultimate Fighter is going to be, I believe, male heavyweights and the women's featherweights to try to build that division up a little bit. It had been speculated, a fight that we all want to see, Amanda Nunes going up and fighting her, and it seemed like she was kind of interested in that at one point, but now with like Ketlin Vieira in that division looking a little better, but she seems like she wants to stay there even after Pennington. What do you think might happen with that division?
Yeah, I mean that's the fight to make. Realistically, Amanda Nunes beats Pennington. That's the fight everybody wants to see. So that is the fight that we will try to make. Okay,
and I got to also ask you, I don't think we've talked to you since Frankie Edgar. Look, he had his first knockout against Ortega. He comes back. He fights very, very well against Cub Swanson. This fucking animal, he did not have to take that fight. He took it anyway. So is there a shot at Frankie getting back a shot at the title?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Frankie Edgar right now, the guy's ranked number 3 in the world. He's still right in there. And you know how shit happens in this business, man. Ortega's next, but imagine if anything happens to those guys. Frankie should stay in shape, and he could absolutely dive in there for a title shot. You never know what can happen.
And is it possible now that Holloway fights Ortega, the winner of that then has to deal with Edgar? It's either a rematch against the guy who knocked him out in the first round, or it's him against Holloway.
Well, you got Jeremy Stevens in there, too. Jeremy Stevens has actually been active and winning. So I don't know. We'll have to look at it.
Okay.
To say this guy, that guy, you don't know. You got to see how this stuff plays out. But Frankie is still ranked number 3 in the world.
He is, and he took that fight he didn't have to take. Like, I think everybody was shocked that he took that fight instead of just sitting and saying, "I'll wait. I got the belt." He really went out there and took a huge risk.
Yeah, I wasn't shocked. I wasn't shocked?
Why?
He's a fucking stud.
Yeah.
That's what you do. When you're a professional fighter and you believe that you're one of the best in the world, you fight anybody. And that's what he did. He took the fight with Ortega, and, there's guys these days that it ain't like the old days, man. Back when Sarah and those guys were fighting, man. It's a different world now, and a lot of these guys just want to fucking sit out and wait, and because they have the money to do it.
Well, I'll tell you.
And I respect the guys that step up like Frankie Edgar. And that's why people love Frankie Edgar. Listen, fans know, you're saying it to me right now, he stepped up and took a fight when he didn't have to, and he did. That's why people love him.
Yep.
Well, you brought up Jeremy Stevens. Speaking of taking fights, he's fighting Aldo next, which is that's a tremendous matchup.
Exactly.
That's a tough
fucking great fight. Another guy that will fight anybody, man. Anybody, and there's times when we've called him and he's like, you know what, I'm still a little banged up, but I don't give a fuck. I'm going to take this fight anyway. He's another animal.
Yeah, that kind of is the way you got to be. Because, again, we've talked before, and a guy that has to be kind of in shape and ready to fight. But sometimes a chance comes up, and you never know when it's going to come up. And Ortega took it.
Exactly.
And look, he's got a shot at the title now.
Exactly. Look at Bisping. Bisping's been in this business forever, man. Never won a title. Takes a fight on 12 days' notice and ends up knocking out Luke Rockhold and becomes a champion.
That's right.
You have to jump on opportunities. You know how many guys I've called that just won't take the opportunity and don't jump on it? And it always ends up biting you in the ass.
And to give more credit to Michael Bisping, he did that against the guy that finished him last time. So
exactly, finished him quick too.
Exactly, and it looked like he didn't even belong in there with him. And then to go in there and put him away